There was a lamp that probably weighed about 5 pounds. It was porcelain that was thrown off of, it was picked up off an end table, moved down the hall and over a banister to go down the stairs. Um, so it gave itself away, and that case ended really, really badly. Um, I was attacked at home, and it almost took me out permanently.
Oh, my word.
It One of the things that, in my experience anyway, the demonics can do, and it's really what, from my perspective anyway, what true possession really is. Possession isn't a demon slipping into your body like in the movies. It is, from my experience anyway, it's suggesting, and that's what I literally call it, suggesting ideas to you in your own thoughts. And I've had this happen many times in the field. This one case in particular, to illustrate it, I was on an investigation with three other investigators. There may have been more, but there were three at this particular iteration. We went. We were doing a house that had an agitated spirit, was the belief. We had just taken a break, so everybody had gone to the bathroom, changed their flashlights and all that. We go up into a room of the house upstairs, upstairs front room that we hadn't done anything in. As we walk into the room, two of the investigators are like, my flashlight went out. I got to go downstairs and get batteries, and abandon the team. Their flashlights were clearly still on. They just couldn't see them as being on.
Oh, wow.
The third member, who had just been to the bathroom 5 minutes earlier, is like, I got to go pee. I got to go pee real bad, and abandoned me. And I'm left in this room with this dark shadow thing comes charging at me and shoves me against the door and skirts on by. But that's one example. But in the case I was mentioning that went really, really badly, in that particular case, I had screwed up. I had made the mistake of telling the clients that I believe there was something demonic going on, that I felt that their safety was of a concern. And that night, after briefing the clients, and I shouldn't have done it in their house. That was a screw up. I just was worried. It came after me, and long story short, at the end of the engagement, it told me I was cold. All right, this was Atlanta at the end of August.
Ah,
It was 100 degrees plus during the daytimes there. That particular summer, it was over 100 most of that time. But I was freezing. So I would wear a heavy winter jacket and blankets all the time. I was literally burning myself up alive. I went to the doctors, nothing they could do. Because as far as they were concerned, there was nothing, they couldn't find any cause. It
right.
took me a little over 3 weeks to convince myself that I wasn't cold. And that almost, like I said, it almost took me out.
Well, I mean, you could have had a heat stroke.
Well, physically there was that. Emotionally, it was bad, and the case actually even went worse while I was out of commission. But yeah, that was a real failure. But that's just to illustrate the power of some of these things, and that's why I'm not an exorcist. I couldn't do that. These, the real exorcist in the world, their burden is completely unbearable. There are times when mine is too, to some extent. I mean, I quit every few weeks, and as soon as someone calls me and they're terrified and they need help and no one else will help them, I get right back onto the saddle because somebody has to. And
Somebody
you know,
does. And,
yeah,
I we're already at our 20 minutes. I can't believe that either. But, that it does cross that line. It straddles that line between crazy and brave. It really
it's sure
does.
crazy.
So it's a thin line, kind of like that thin line between Saturday night and Sunday morning, right?
Yep.
But we'll be back. This is going to be 3 minutes, and thank you so much for being here with us. We will bring you some more with Kyl Cobb right after this.
You are listening to WPHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk radio.
Son of a...
Hey, son.
Mother...
Son? What are you doing?
Hey, Mom. I'm getting ready to listen to Periscope Uncensored.
By expanding your vocabulary.
Well, it is uncensored.
Son, the uncensored part of Periscope Uncensored is Jax and I getting down to brass tacks with all aspects of the paranormal. There's no fluff on our show.
So, no off-color commentary?
I didn't say that.
Awesome! What?
Son?
I just hit my head.
Oh boy, I'll go get you an ice pack. Catch Periscope Uncensored Thursday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, only on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
You are listening to WPHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk radio.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 23 minutes after the hour. And we are back. Sorry about that. Those breaks just show up whether you want them or not. Kyl, thank you so much for being here. You are just fascinating me and our listening audience. We have so many comments in both of our chats. You were talking about the case that you felt defeated you.
Yeah.
How did you find the wherewithal to get back into stride with that? I mean, I know that you get the call and you're motivated to go and intervene to help because you are educated, have the tools and the knowledge to do that. But, I know people who they go in as deliverance ministers. They've, done the online class for the exorcists.com kind of thing. And they just hop up and run out everywhere. And then they're befuddled because they're beat half to pieces when they are in an investigation experience. Even with the tools you have, you face this. So How do you get back up and go?
You don't have a choice if you really are believe in it. In my case, people are calling because they're scared. They're scared for their husband, or they're scared for their children, or scared for themselves. And, you can't just turn your back on them. You have to make a choice, ultimately. Who are you and what do you stand for? And I have made it a lifestyle and a life choice to try to do what's right. I grew up south of Atlanta in a little, the nearest town was 20 miles away. We still back then got television over the air. We had the three networks, public television, and TBS Superstation, or Superstation TBS out of Atlanta, Channel 17. So my early television exposure were basically, thanks to TBS, repeats of 1950s shows. Mm-hmm. So yes. I grew up watching The Lone Ranger and Batman and Robin and The Adventures of Superman. And that very much imprinted on me a belief in doing the right thing and helping people. And that's never ended. So, sometimes your own personal safety isn't as important as making sure that the people that need help get it. So that's what motivates me. And that, it can be hard. I mean, it's when you get that call at 3 a.m. from someone that's scared to death, you can't say, "Oh, call me back in the morning." You spend the 2 hours on the phone with them, one, reassuring them that it's going to be okay, calming them down, coming up with explanations. Part of what I do has nothing to do with demons. Part of what I have to do is helping people get over their immediate fear.
Absolutely.
And, you can't turn your back on that.
But you're not traveling solo through life. You have a relationship that matters greatly, obviously. And do you not fear endangering that? Is not by her not understanding what you're doing, but by bringing something back with you? Because I know that happens.
That is a paramount concern. That's why earlier this summer, for a period of time, I set it aside for a little over a month and a half, 2 months, where I wouldn't take new cases. It is a real concern. I've done everything I can to make it safe here. I'm lucky that, she approves of the paranormal stuff. She doesn't understand it, doesn't want to, but her safety is the most important part of what I do. And so, fortunately, by making so many mistakes in the past, I've gotten a little bit better at protecting me, my house and myself. And even from stupid things, like I guess about 2 months ago, I bought some Civil War iron knuckles. They're like brass knuckles, but left over from the Union or Confederate soldiers. And I brought it home, and immediately I took a picture of it. And I had every single person who claims to be psychic, I think, on my Facebook page send me this note: "You've got an attachment. You've got an attachment. You've got an attachment." Okay, yeah, that's typical. But for literally about 3 weeks, pictures were knocked off the walls, knocking, all of that before it settled down. So occasionally, you bring home things that shouldn't be brought home from an investigation, from an event. You just have to make sure that the really nasty stuff can't get in, and the things you do bring in are in a nice, secured area. People all the time are giving me their Ouija boards, their, this cursed item, that cursed item, and you just make sure that all the safeties are in place if you bring something like that in. And, that's still, all those years ago, didn't protect me when it came after me. And so that's a real threat. And I literally, that type of stuff keeps me awake at night with what little sleep I do get, worrying that it's for her safety.
Well, I know that you're so knowledgeable, and I know that it didn't help you in your circumstance, but I believe that was an extreme circumstance. I don't think that's something that one would anticipate showing back up frequently, if at all.
True demonic entities are very, very rare. And for the most part, my belief anyway, is that they will do what it takes not to be detected or not to be challenged. They will generally move on. And what exactly exacerbated this situation, I'm not real sure. I'm not sure why it chose to lash out rather than to move on. But, I learned.
Is that the only one you've had lash out like that?
That is the most violent I have had. There have been some other little incidences, but nothing of that magnitude.